strong work ethic, problem solving, community oriented, shows professionalism and integrity, is a team player, accountable, and a good steward. So can we have roll call, please?
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Klein.
Okay, did we get, everybody have a chance to review the agenda, and we have a motion to approve that? So moved. Well, any other discussion? Roll call.
Walling,
Yes.
Klein, Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda. Have the minutes of the August 5th regular city council meetings. We have 13 contract payments, all for payments for contract service, all to Bolton and Meg for a total of $197,726.36. Claims registered and financials this month of $2,099 and $2,099,914.71. Okay, yeah, that'll come out next. And then we have two alcohol licenses and permits. One is for the Perry Chamber of Commerce for 5-day special class C for the RBTV street party on September 2nd. And the other is to Commonwealth Provisions Proletariat for the same party that same day. Could I have a motion, please?
A second.
Any other discussion?
Still need the fire inspection, so these are contingent on coming back.
Sounds good. And do they have to wait for the setup before they do that inspection, or how, since it's
No.
not in the physical buildings?
That amount.
Okay,
Just make sure that there is enough clearance for fire trucks and things like that.
okay. Great. Okay, roll call.
Klein. Yes. Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Okay. City administrator's reports then.
All right, have a few things scribbled down here. One, which we'll probably get into more with a couple of items on the agenda, but the runway is pretty well slated to officially be open September 5th, the new runway out at the airport. So we're having some discussions on doing kind of a small kind of semi-informal event on the 5th, hopefully with city council and the airport commission and a few others. And then maybe next spring, summer, doing more of a community event out there once grass is growing and it looks a little bit less like a construction site and a little bit more like an airport. So that will give us time to plan a larger event, hopefully do something more similar to what we did during the sesquicentennial, maybe with a concert or band or something like that. But looking towards next year to do that, but definitely excited to get everybody together. I know it's probably been only 15-ish years of contracts and designs and conversations about this project. So it's fun to see it kind of really taking shape in a major accomplishment and milestone with that new runway opening. So we'll be sending out more information on that as we kind of figure it out and decide what we want to do. So just kind of mark that on your calendar as a hold. Couple other project updates. I know Des Moines Asphalt has a few more things to come back and finish up on their overlay project. Kind of one of the, I wouldn't say delays, but we've kind of pushed them back from coming back to finish until the dirt is moved out of the Iowa Street wetland area, because they're taking that out to the airport and doing a lot of compaction to the current run or the current entrance road to the airport. So it's pretty beat up and will be well deserving of that fresh overlay once that dirt is hauled. So kind of playing a little bit of a time game there on getting the dirt work finished at Iowa Street to then be able to have Des Moines Asphalt come back in. And has had some rain delays in the last month or so, so kind of dodging that to get that all finished up. Kind of the same with Frog Creek, playing with chasing rain and in between work. I think Matt and I talked earlier, and it sounds like a bulk of their work is going to occur more later in the fall once things have kind of died back a little bit. So the majority of that restoration work will happen in that southern section later, but they are doing some work in between. I think Mayor has a couple of the things I also have scribbled. So we have some guests here tonight, other than our usual suspects, but we have 3 of our AmeriCorps team members here tonight. So they wanted to come and just talk a little bit about what they've done, but I definitely want to thank these 3 and the other 4 for all of the work that they've been doing and really making an impact in the community. So do all 3 of you want to come up and introduce yourselves? Okay. And then just at the microphone. You can adjust it too.
All right. Hello, my name is Chloe,
And I'm Kiri.
and that's our team leader, Sophia, behind us. So yeah, we just wanted to talk a little bit about AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, which is the program that we're involved with, and we're here in Perry right now to help out. So basically, this is a federally funded program that provides national service projects for young adults. Projects are usually about 2 months long, and we travel around to different communities in order to help out with community need there. So what we're doing here in Perry is we're working mostly with the Parks Department. So far, if you've seen over by the baseball fields, the new structure that's up there, we helped build that. It was just a concrete pad before, and we framed the walls, we did the siding and the plywood, and it was really exciting. And that's going to be a new athletic training facility for kids in the town. And then currently we're working on renovations at the Old American Legion Hall. So that's been a lot of demolition, putting up new walls. We're making the bathrooms nicer, and we're painting everything. So that'll be a new community space, hopefully for like maybe kids to hang out, but also for events like birthday parties or graduations.
We have with us a bunch of like pamphlets for if, you know, like a nonprofit or another city that might want to apply for an AmeriCorps team, but we're really enjoying our stay here in Perry and learning more about the community. And we're hoping that Perry might win an AmeriCorps team again sometime. But yeah, if there is any information you need from us, we'll be here. We answer questions. Like there are certain things that places need to provide AmeriCorps teams, but there's also a lot of things that AmeriCorps provides for the teams themselves. But that's about it.
Yes, so if you're interested, you can come up to us and we'll give you one of these requests for proposals. This is if you know of some organization that might be able to use an AmeriCorps team, like Perry has made use of us, then we're happy to answer any questions about that and share more information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. The team has also been helping out at the food pantry twice a week on their open times. They also helped with the street dance with Lindsay. I think you're going to be helping with the Latino Festival and then RVTV on Labor Day. So, and I think tomorrow also shifting some of the team over to start working on some Frog Creek stream cleanup, like north of Willis Avenue. So trying to get an array of projects to kind of make sure that everybody's interests and work itches are fulfilled in their time in Perry. But I know John and his staff has really enjoyed working with these folks, and I would really encourage you to chat with them afterwards. They're all from as far away as Huxley to the East Coast and West Coast. So definitely a great group of people that have come to Perry to really give us an incredible boost this summer, and just have some extra hands. So excited to have them here tonight to experience local government at work and share some of what they've been working on. So, right. That's what I've got. Any questions for me? All right.
Okay, so my comments, we now have new trail out of Perry, and that was attended the ribbon cutting on Saturday. It was very well attended. It's the trail formerly called the Connector Trail, and now it's called the Raccoon, or the High Trestle Extension. And so there was over 100 people at the Big Bike to start the ride. There was at least that many, if not more, in Boughton when they did the ribbon cutting. On our ride over to Boughton and Woodward, there was a lot of people coming this way that weren't involved with the ride, but were taking the trail. Same on the way back. We saw a lot of people that had left Perry and were going that way. So big boon already of activity. Hopefully it continues and that we see a lot more people in town because of it. So I think people use both of our trails. I wanted to thank Chamber and Sherry Scheib for all the effort they put in to help organize that. I know they weren't the only ones, but they represented us well. And then also the city crews and Sven that were out putting up the temporary signage that we got up.
Thank you,
time
Sven.
to at least help them find the way through there. Permanent signage is on the way, but you know, at least we had something that can show the routes. So thank you for that. Next thing is, want to remind everybody of the Latino Festival this Saturday. Parade's at 10 o'clock, and then the I think it's 11:30 down at the park for the kickoff, and then just an all-day celebration party down there. So should be a nice fun day. It's supposed to be back up in the 90s, so plan on drinking plenty of water. If you go. And then wanted to let Chris mention that we did get a web page out there for people to comment on the fireworks regulations, and he can show you what he's had so far, and he'll tell the people the web page that if they want to get on and give their opinion, we'll have that before our September meeting when we want to talk about it again. So, Chris?
So we have a Google form up right now that essentially just asks our residents in town, do they want to keep the use of consumer fireworks prohibited? Or do they want to see us regulate consumer fireworks in a different way? It's a yes, no question. Their address is required, name is not. So we have had a few anonymous, but they've given their address. So we'll leave it like that. There's also a brief feedback section. We were notified that there was an issue right off of the bat whenever it was made live on Sunday. That has been corrected. But again, it is a limited character number. So as to not have a novel as to why you think they should or should not, whatever the case may be. Right now, what I'm showing is the live update. We've had 65 completed responses, and it's a 52.3% saying no, they wish to see us regulate in a different way. So per mayor comments, I believe the second meeting in September is when we're going to discuss what the findings are of this. We'll take it down at that point or the weekend before or whatever the case may be, and we can discuss from there. But that's not even a full 24 hours or yeah, right now a full 24 hours from going live. So, and I will find a spot on the website for this to live. Right now, it's just on social media. I did have a question by someone that had posted for, I'm assuming, a friend or family member that does not have social media. Does council have an alternative method that they'd like to see implemented, or do we want to just leave this for social media users at this point?
What are the other options?
I know.
If you have the link, they could, I think, Misty, correct me if I'm wrong, but they could go to the library and use one of the public computers via the link and complete it there.
And in the past, we have also done paper copies of surveys that we then have to input in like at the library and the rec center. So that's something we can look at too. Sure.
And we're also asked Chief Vaughn if he would put together a little summary of how things went this year compared to the last few years and what their professional recommendation would be as the police and fire station. He said he'd like to wait until we have the public safety committee, which we're voting on later in the agenda together so that the three of them can meet and put together something that they'd share with the rest of us. And again, have their opinion on whether we should change or keep it the same. So that'll happen within the next week or two. I'm hopeful. Okay, any other council comments? Okay, we're going to open forum. Speakers will be asked to step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the council. Any open forum?
Lindsay Pasuti with the Chamber. Just giving it a quick update on RVTV coming up Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day. Lots of different activities planned so far. A wide range of committee members taking part in that with different ideas. So really excited to have the street closed on 2nd Street from Otley all the way to Lucinda. Willis will be closed 1st to 3rd, and then Warford kind of halfway between 1st and 3rd with those alleys. Lots of activities planned, like I mentioned. So live music on Railroad Street, live music over by the bank as well, Raccoon Valley Bank. Lots of games, activities, inflatables, contests. What am I missing? All the things. Bags tournament and foosball tournament. So should be really fun for people that like to tailgate and show their colors, but then also as a city celebration for Perry as well, kind of kicking things off for the fall and back to school and all of that. So we have some sponsorship opportunities. We have some fundraising with the yard signs, but just getting people excited about coming out that day. Main time frame will be 3 to 10 p.m. for the main festivities, 3 to 8 for like kids activities. So if there's any questions or comments. And then if there's any questions on Spooktacular, I'll be here for later on in the agenda. So.
Thank you. Anyone else open the floor? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Item A is a resolution approving amended development agreements with Simplify Commercial Solutions. It was originally signed May 16th, 2022. It's the resolution there on our page, and they would like to ask for an extension, and the agreement shall not exceed $185,000 in incremental property tax payments and $24,000 in an economic development grant, which was provided in October 2023 at the time of closing on the property. So I have a motion, please.
Motion to approve item A, resolution approving amendment, development, agreement, and simplify commercial solutions.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
All right, and Mr. Diaz is here. So we've been in frequent communication throughout this process, but really just kind of with his timeline and the future of the project, really looking at just kind of giving us a little bit more time to figure some things out before deciding exactly what direction we're going to move forward with. So Eddie, I don't know if you want to add to that at all, but
I'll answer questions, but
yeah,
essentially it's been 2 years, I think you mentioned. Almost feels like 12 years for the airport, but lots of things have changed in the last 2 years, and just need 2 more years, I think, to see where we can take this. But I'm hoping something still happens there, and ultimately time will tell.
This is designed to be an incubator for new businesses.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a flex space. What the target audience was new-ish entrepreneurs and trying to supporting them. And the concept I think is still a good concept. I know it's a concept that works in a lot of other places. It just, entrepreneurship is tough.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of stuff that's has to happen to make it work. So
Okay.
I still think it's a concept that will work in Perry. It just
Yep.
needs time.
So pretty much the only changes in the development agreement are the key dates of mostly the minimum assessment agreement and how those dates fall with that agreed upon minimum assessment agreement for that TIF to start. So that will be should be more than enough time to figure out the path. And then we'll move forward from there.
I think so. The only other thing that is on there, and Sven and I have talked about this a lot, is sidewalks. So originally the concept was it would be delayed for 2 years. Given it's been about 2 years, sidewalks are now part of it now for this space. So city's been good to work with, and I thought that was a appropriate thing to compromise.
So this will be basically a shell type of a building to be subdivided as
Correct.
needed?
There's 7 bays that it's supposed to be 7 bays, 2,000 square feet a bay.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ed.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Eddie.
Other discussion? Roll call?
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Okay, item B, approval of pay application number 3 for the AWAS project. It's in the amount of $21,558.92 to Kimray Electric. It has been reviewed and signed by the project manager who recommends approval. So can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion we pass approval of pay application number 3 for the AWAS project.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Hey, Garrett Jacobs from Bolton and Menke. Yeah, so this project, we're just waiting for the actual AWAS equipment to show up. All the site work has been completed except for I think a few other wires that the contractor has to pull to get power out to the site. But in general, it's just a waiting game for that stuff to show up. So.
Okay.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Wally,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, approval of pay application number 3 for Willis Avenue overlay. It's an amount of, says application 2 there, and we'll change that, but $19,028.25 to Des Moines Asphalt and Paving. Makes the project 93.5% complete. It's been reviewed and signed off by the project engineer who recommends approval. Motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve pay application number 3 for Willis Avenue overlay.
Second.
Discussion.
I seen them, Dirk, I seen them digging at the corner of Willis and Third. They were jackhammering it back up. What was the purpose there?
So they've gone through, we had to,
You're a taller guy.
replace some of the warning panels and replace some of the ped ramps. Also had them cleaning up things behind the curbs, those kind of things that run overflow stuff from concrete. We had them dig out all the behind the curbs, clean them all out, bring clean soil in and reseed those. That's probably what you were saying was cleaning up behind the curbs. So they're virtually done at this point. We're gonna start the process of the audit and the closeout with the IMD.
Thank you.
Great.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Okay, item D, approval of pay application number 18 for the runway 1432 relocation phase 2. It's in the amount of $58,339 to Manats Inc. for the work completed. And as we heard, it's getting close to being finished and we not go much past 20 maybe. It's been signed off and recommended by the project manager for approval. Have a motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve pay application number 18 for the runway 1432 relocation phase 2.
And I'll second.
Discussion.
Yeah, they're moving and grooving. At this point, we're really heavily weather dependent, but the forecast for, the next several days looks pretty promising. The electrician's following closely behind, getting grading done on the shoulders so he can get his lights in. The pavement marking guys showed up on Friday to start prepping all the new runway pavement. And they should have gotten started today. Those guys are from New York, so the original goal was to get them scheduled right ahead of opening. But that just wasn't quite going to work out. So it should still, all be fine. But in general, yeah, we're looking forward to getting this thing wrapped up. Think there'll be a few things that we take care of after the fact when the runway is complete, with the taxiway environment, but, things are looking really promising. So any questions or anything?
Looks good.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Klein,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Smaller,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Okay, item number E, approval of pay application number 14 for the runway 1432 relocation phase 3 in the amount of $126,927.64 to Menards Inc. It's for concrete pavement on the extension and electrical installations. It's been reviewed and signed off by the project manager, who recommends approval. Motion, please.
I make a motion, we pay application number 14 for the runway 14/32 relocation phase 3.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Same.
Yes. Same stuff.
Okay, roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Smaller.
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to new business. Item A is resolution setting trick or treat date and time. So the resolution isn't complete yet. The hospital and Chamber of Commerce set October 25th, 2024 is their date. And Prairie Lutheran Homes is going to pick the same date as we choose tonight. So we'll have a motion and then we'll figure out what date we want to have, and then that will be included in the final resolution. So we vote on it. So
I make a motion, we set a resolution setting the trick or treat date and time.
I'll second.
okay, discussion on whether we want to have October 25th, or we want to go to the 30th or the 31st, closer to the actual date of Halloween. Open floor.
November 1st.
So I know historically we set the date every year, and how many years ago was it that we just kind of set the last Friday of the month?
No, we never said that.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
Okay,
The chamber and hospital said that, but at the time it was discussed that we would continue setting the date separately because some felt like in this case, it's almost a full week before Halloween. So that's why I've never wrote the resolution that way, is
Okay.
because there's always been discussion.
Right.
on this. Yes.
I think I was the
Okay.
cog in the wheel that last time that we talked about
I-
that.
I would never suspect that. Mr. Mahler. So I think historically, we've always set it the same night as the Chambers event and the hospitals event.
Or the.
Yeah. Which is Beggar's Night.
Yes.
So,
Yes, please.
So it's always been conversation with Susie and Tom and myself for the last 6 years anyway, to say, okay, here's how the 30th falls. Do we want to stick with the 30th, or do we want to shift one way or the other? If it falls on a Sunday, if it falls on a Wednesday, if there's other things. So 3 years now, we've done the last Friday of the month for the chamber and hospital. In terms of the success of that event, it works best for the businesses that come out and support the event. We wouldn't have it if there were only 10 people giving out candy. So when we have 40 or so wanting to do that on Friday night, and then same with the hospital staff, that's the best time for them to do it. The last couple of years, it's worked really well, just how the 30th has fallen to stick with all on the same night, knowing that this date would be coming up in the future, that it would be about as early as it possibly could. But for us and our events, we're doing what's best for those that participate in it and sticking with Friday, and kind of leaving it up to you how you want to get back to the 30th as a rule, or whatever. But we're sticking with the last Friday of October for Spooktacular and the Safe and Healthy at the hospital. So
And I think there's probably mixed review on the best night from participants, but I know usually the families with kids appreciate it being at Friday night, not having to go through rigmarole of getting kids up the next morning after a sugar hangover. So
next day.
Yep.
but People complain about it no matter what. So they'll say, how could I possibly get my kids home in time to do it? You know, it's like, well, it's always been on a weeknight or something, 4 to 6, always been the time. And then some people, if you put it on the 30th, they wonder why it's not on the 31st, even though there's reasoning to it. So it's never going to be 100% anyway. So do what you feel.
I'm a traditionalist and I feel this is exactly what I was talking about, where we get a week away from the actual event. It gets a little dicey then. But I'm not gonna die on that hill today. I became an empty nester last Friday, so I don't really have a dog in this fight.
Just FYI, everybody, October 31st is Nevada's entry into the Union, 1864. Nevada, that's what. No. Happy birthday, Nevada. Halloween.
are there any other
Okay.
thoughts or feelings from council?
I'm okay with the 25th.
I mean,
Let's go with chamber and
Yeah.
hospital.
It makes sense, right?
It definitely
I
eases
like it.
everything. Yep.
I'm a traditionalist too. I mean, we always did it on the 31st, regardless. But
The good news is we're just gonna get better for the next few years.
that's right.
Yeah.
The next
Get
few years will
closer.
be great.
Do you want me to rewrite the resolution as a standing resolution so that it goes with the last Friday of the month, how the chamber and the hospital are doing it, so we don't have to vote on it every year? Or do you want to continue to bring, I mean, it makes no difference to me, it's just how you guys wanna say the resolution.
I can't speak for Barb, but like I said, if we're as far away as we're going to get from the actual holiday and we're gonna do it, we might as well make it
Tie in with
resolution.
them.
Yeah. Yep.
Tie in with them on a permanent basis.
I agree.
Just don't set it 2 weeks off.
Never happened in November the 1st.
Or we could have one person sit in
That's Day of the Dead.
with Tom and Lindsay and
So,
in the discussion of the date. So.
so Councilmember Walling, I just think you need to, and Dewey, correct me if I'm wrong, just make a motion
I make a motion that
to
we
do a standing date. for
do
the
a
last-
standing date in conjunction with the chamber and the hospital.
Do we have a second?
Are you happy, Lindsay?
I'm very, I'm super excited for seeing what it would look like for 2 nights.
Double dose.
So on the 31st, we still have to have candy available for anybody that's coming to the door.
Well, that's not Thanksgiving, so.
The 31st is the day you bring all of your leftover candy to City Hall,
Oh, okay.
and then we will equitably distribute it.
Oh, sure.
Don't forget to say happy.
Yeah.
All right, so I have it down as a motion. Councilmember Walling made a motion to do a standing resolution for the last Friday of October. For
Yes.
trick or treat night, with it being 6 PM to 8 PM and participants turning on porch lights and following health regulations.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
You-
second that.
You're a good wordsmith.
And then.
Oh.
Okay,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. She just made the first one. Okay,
Okay, all in favor? Or roll call, sorry.
Walling,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Okay, item B is a resolution approving the local match and application submittal by the Des Moines Metropolitan Planning Organization to the U.S. Department of Transportation Charging and Full Infrastructure Discretionary Grant. This is to put in 2 electric vehicle fueling spots over in the parking lot underneath the solar panels across from City Hall. We had submitted to do our own application, which was turned down, but we were able to get in with this other one. We're going to have two spots. Would we match, we have to match 20% of the eligible cost not to exceed $129,447.90 over a 5-year period for the local project cost estimate at $647,389.50. We have motion, please.
Motion to approve item B, resolution, a local match in the application. Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. My question, is that, power gonna be coming from that panel?
Yep.
To those electric cars?
Yep, so.
Is gonna be a charging fee for that?
Everybody sets it up a little bit differently. So we'll be able to set charging rates or not, depending on how we want to set that. But one of our goals with it would be to try and generate some revenue to offset the costs of maintenance and hopefully making some revenue off of that as well. So just to go back a little bit, I think last year we put in, as the mayor mentioned, our own City of Perry application for this. And I think the total was around $3 million for 3 or 4 sites. And I think with that round, you had to have, was it 2 stations with 2 charging ports each? So 4 charging ports per site. So this year, by going in on a group application, that really brings our requirements down quite a bit to where we would be able to just have 1 charging site, that then at least we would have a charging location in Perry. I think one large thing to note with this, it's not necessarily exactly spelled out in the resolution, a little purposefully, but about 50% of this, maybe about 50% of the grant application, you can pay for related activities with this infrastructure, with the charging infrastructure. So about half of this cost is actually buying out the solar panels from that power purchase agreement, which I think was between $250,000 and $300,000. So even the match would be about half of our future cost of buying out that solar panel system that feeds City Hall. So that's a large reason for me behind it, to be able to justify that, because that is a future expense we will have. And if we can get that charging infrastructure, pay for essentially half of the solar panels for our match, that seems like a pretty good opportunity to be able to go after.
Yep, absolutely.
Just to be clear, is this 1 spot with 2 stations or 1 spot with 4 stations?
This is 1 spot with 2 charging ports.
Are these fast charging or?
Are these level 3? Level 3 chargers.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, people buy electric cars, they put charging stations in their garages and they don't spend $500,000 or even strapped up $250,000. They don't pay $125,000 for a charging slot. Why are the commercial ones so much more expensive than what someone would put in their home?
So safety.
I may need to
It's strict.
pick the brain of an engineer, but he's not an electrical engineer. So that which is a compliment. So the charging station that you would have in your home, I believe, would be a level 1 charging station, which basically pulls off of either 110 or 220. And that would probably take, 8 to 12 hours to charge your vehicle. A level 3 charger could probably get you up to 80-90% in
2 hours.
like, what was that? Yeah. So it's
Considerably
especially since we have such a high voltage coming off of that system to feed City Hall. we were able to put that higher level charging station. So, you know, ultimately, not only just for an overnight stay at the hotel or wherever in town, but also just being able to drive in, park, plug in, and then go shop, go eat, whatever, and come back to a charged vehicle. That's the speed that we're talking. I think above faster than that would be a lot more and take a lot more infrastructure. So.
Well, they have to put solar batteries over there, collect what the solar is producing, store, right?
So with Alliant Energy, we have net metering. So when, on the days that we produce more than we need or more than we use, it's credited onto our account. So this will also help use a little bit more electricity because City Hall is one that, depending on the climate for the year and how much heat or electricity we use.
Every year, we've always generated more than we.
Yeah, so that's something we're kind of honing in on, as to like right sizing it specifically. So we could use a little bit more draw off of the City Hall canopies. Susie does do her part in trying to use electricity with her City Hall meat market office space we joked to her about, but yeah, that's, are there any other questions?
I got
You know, it's something that we've talked about for a while of, you know, kind of in tandem with the solars, having a charging station in town.
Does this impact our insurance for the city? Because that's one of the things I looked at putting electrical charging into my duplex. And my insurance rates were going to go.
I haven't talked about that.
This is an outdoor facility, so
Yeah.
maybe there's
and
not the liability.
I don't know, since it is under the canopy, I don't know exactly how that would relate. That being said, we wouldn't have to put it underneath the canopy. We could have it like in one of those front stalls right by First Street or something like that. But that's a really good point that we need to talk to Brad about.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we'll own our solar system or solar panels and all that. Two questions. Do either of the new gas stations have electric charging? I don't have an electric car, so I have no idea.
No.
Okay.
They do not.
Then second question, and this is something that needs to be figured out right now, but the technology on these things probably progresses pretty quickly. So that in 5 or 10 years, a level 3 that charges for an hour might seem like a ridiculous thing if you can pull up somewhere and get your car charged in the same time it takes to fill it up with gas. Is it a start over, or is it like, can we just get some answers about that so we have that in our pocket so we know?
Yeah, I don't know how fast the charging time would, or how much that will change. It would definitely have to be on the like vehicle and battery size of how fast it can take it. Cause usually a limitation to charging stations is the available power. So I know that's something that we looked at with all those different sites, is what power is available to feed that. You know, I don't think it's as going to be as extreme as like cell phones, where the moment you get it, there's a nicer one out. But I definitely think it'll suit what our needs are for a good amount of time. I haven't followed it overly close, but I haven't seen much changes and differences. And I do know, I have read some articles that kind of the Apple versus Android charging system, I think they're playing better together now. So there are adapters to be able to plug in different vehicles to different charging
Right.
stations.
So that in 2 years, we don't have to start over.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Maybe 4.
That would be something.
This might be a crazy question, but does every car have the same hookup? So.
So that's kind of that, there's different adapters. And I think for the most part, I want to say pretty much all companies use the same charger other than Tesla. So Tesla has had its own charger plug and then more proprietary charging stations that only Teslas can charge at. But I think that's where they're kind of opening that up and playing nicer between manufacturing companies.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Okay, final item. Item C is a resolution making appointments for the Prairie City Council standing committees. They will be Public Works and Zoning, Mahler and Schott. Public Facilities and Parks, Shelley and Mahler. Public Safety, Shelley and Klein. Budget and Finance, Schott and Wolling, and Administration and Personnel, Wolling and Klein. Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we pass resolution making appointments for the Perry City Council standing committees.
I'll
I'll
second that.
Discussion?
I imagine you're gonna give us further instructions on what does this actually pertain.
Yeah, basically, when something comes up in these areas, we get the standing committee. So like before we do, pay raises and then the budget and finance people get together with and talk about things and give some input from the council side of things. Since there's only 2 members, it's just open discussion and try to make it to where the council would be willing to
Play
vote on it
nice.
afterwards, because we can't do resolutions because they're not open meetings, but it just gives us a chance to have discussion before we would have a meeting to discuss something formally. And like I said, get some input from some council members.
And it would not be making a recommendation. It's just like council, or sorry, Mayor Dirk said. Just getting input and having 2 council members together to kind of share maybe some insight and feelings that they may or may not have. It's very important that it's stated you're not making a recommendation.
Because if there's a recommendation out of that conversation, it would have to be an open meeting.
Yes.
So there is some definition and pause for caution when getting those groups together and having those conversations. Conversation is one thing, but like providing recommendation and direction off of that meeting to city council. So like kind of first test is going to be the public safety committee and the fireworks discussion. If it is just discussion and information gathering, you can just get together. But if you're having discussion to make a recommendation, then you would need to be in touch with Elizabeth to post a 24-hour notice and then be there to record and take minutes for that meeting. Thank you.
Did we hit that right, Dewey?
Per the email that I tried to remember from Dewey when we were asking him about this.
And we don't have a lot of get-togethers, but it's just nice to have them know who they can notify. Plus, the people in that committee, if they have something they would like to discuss with on those topics, they can set up a meeting to have a pre-discussion and decide if something needs to be changed. Then we can put it on an open agenda.
And then, as I recall, previously, I know Mr. Schott has been on the Planning and Zoning Committee for quite a while. When we send out planning and zoning agendas to the Planning and Zoning Commission or Board of Adjustment, we would include those 2 council people on that, just so that they can kind of keep in touch or kind of have that connection to that. So same could be said for like the Parks Department, things like that. So.
And we should. It's a wonderful way
in my opinion. It's been a wonderful way to get to know the employees of the city.
Yes.
As you sit in there and listen to their conversations and their thoughts, you know, and I found it really worthwhile to be there and to attend.
I agree.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Roll, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Shot.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. With that, unless anybody has anything else to discuss, we will adjourn. Thank you all.
That's good.